question is maybe how long did you date before getting married? And I ask because I have a lot of women that it breaks my heart. They're in relationships for 5 years, 7 years. One of them was in a relationship for a really long time, and that man didn't marry her and left him. And within like months, he was married to somebody else. So I guess my question, maybe I'll start with you, Bester. How do you actually know you're ready? Should you wait until maybe you're at a position financially, or is there a realistic time that you can put out there to maybe encourage other men to say, when you're dating somebody, maybe don't pass this stage, or just, I don't know, what do you think?
There's different ways you can do this. I think most men wait until they get to a certain position financially first. And that's the metric that they use to determine whether they are ready to settle down. Like, I want to get the money first, I want to get the business first, I want to make sure I'm secure before I start the family. That's not a bad metric per se. That wasn't my measure though. My understanding has always been a man should first know his ordination. Know his ordination, as in, what was the reason that God created you? Why did you come on this earth? Okay, God said to Jeremiah, before you were born in your mother's womb, I knew you, I ordained you to be a prophet to the nation. So before we come here as men and women, we're given specific ordinations, specific mandates or assignments, and we have a specific destiny. But not every woman can be our helpers. Some women don't have the capacity in order to help with what God has put inside of you, with the assignment that God has put inside of you. So a lot of men have got the money, but they discover 2, 3, 4 years into the marriage, who they are in their ordination, their calling. By the time you realize that, and you've been with a woman for X amount of time, that's when you realize that we're not really aligned. Okay? What God has called me to do, you don't have the capacity to be my helper in that. And by that point, it's too late. So for me, I would say, as men, yes, make sure, be responsible. Make sure financially you're not in debt, bailiffs are not kicking your door down. But you want to make sure that you know yourself first before you invite a woman into your garden, right? Adam, there's a reason why God waited before Eve came. God needed to make sure Adam understood his assignment first before Eve came. Men are doing it around. They're trying to get Eve in, and let's now figure out what did God ask me to do. And how can you lead a woman if you don't even understand that you're the priest of your house? And you can only be a priest of your house if you understand what your mandate is, your calling is. Where are you going? Where are you taking this woman? Because money, you can be living a comfortable life but going nowhere. So you need to understand, first of all, as a man, you need to have a relationship with God, first and foremost. You need to know what your ordination or your calling is, not as a pastor or whatever, but just what is it that God has put inside of you. Because my design complements Rachel's design. She helps cultivate or to bring out what's in me as I help her as well. But if I didn't know who I was, if I didn't know what calling was upon my life, what God has brought me into the kingdom to do, as this is kingdom marriages, right? What am I bringing Rachel here for? So that's the most important metric I would say as a man you need. After that, get your finances in order, then you bring the woman. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just to follow up on that question, what if the man is not a kingdom man? What do you do if you're a lady, or vice versa? What do you do? How do you help the person, or how long, if the other person is a kingdom person, how long do you have to wait for the person to see the light before you say, oh, this person can never be, and move on?
I want to make sure I understand the question. So we're saying that as a man or as a woman, how long do you wait until the man?
If the man is not a Christian yet.
He's not a Christian yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Two things we can do. If you're a Christian woman and you marry an unbeliever, is that correct?
Yeah.
The Bible then teaches us that through the woman's relationship with God, she can actually inspire or encourage the man to get closer to God. But you don't want to be in that situation, right? You don't want to be unequally yoked anyway. You don't even want to play with that. You want to make sure as a woman there's an alignment between your belief system with the man. So you want to make sure that the man is a believer first and foremost. You want to, before you even find yourself in that dynamic, because I think many women do find themselves in that dynamic where she is spiritual, but the man, all he can provide is just the finances. He doesn't know where he's going, he doesn't know who he is, because all he's been pursuing is just a career, for example. But there's a way to cultivate it before you get into the marriage, right? So let's just say, for example, you as a woman, you're a believer, your husband is kind of church here, is not, he's not consistent, or he doesn't really know the Lord. You want to obviously make sure you encourage the person to go to church. You want to make sure you put those boundaries in place to say we can't marry until at least you're a believer, because a man can really grow into being a kingdom man, right? And I encourage that every man who's a believer is a kingdom man. It just depends which part of the kingdom you've been brought into. So how long would you give it? I think it's a case-to-case basis, but as a woman, I think you need to be very careful. You need to be observing. Is he coming to church more? Who is he subject to? Even if now he's not fully engaging with church activities, but you want to be assessing certain things. You want to be seeing some type of progression, some type of steps coming closer and closer to God, even if it's not there yet. If that makes sense.
Just quickly, I know our time is running so fast, but Rachel, I just want to ask, how would you advise ladies in dating to really be careful and cautious with their words and not to over-compromise? And what I mean by that is when women just really do wife duties on a girlfriend title, they can be there cleaning, cooking, while she's doing all sorts. How can we encourage women to just be a little bit careful about that?
So I think with that question, I think it's very important, to look at your heart as well, because when you're dating, you don't want to almost to be grudgingly withholding because of what society is saying. I think it's very important to be led by the Spirit as a woman, because I know a lot of these standards that what society will say, social media will say these things, before getting married, don't do this, don't do that, and don't speak too much on the phone, or set boundaries. But the Holy Spirit you have to be led by the Spirit, because by you, let's say, sharing that love, let's say you're going to go a step forward to help, extra, for your husband to be, the Holy Spirit leading you to do that, it may even open a bigger door. So I think it's important not to limit yourself in terms of, because this is what someone said. I think it's important to be led by the Spirit, and you will know, once you ask the Holy Spirit, what should I do as a woman? This is my husband to be. Prepare me, show me what I should do. that's the important thing, just listening to the Holy Spirit. And it's different case to case. Because I think when you start to restrict, I think sometimes you just limit